Picture a child sitting at a dinner table. They are dressed perfectly, they are eating politely, they are answering every question with a respectful yes or no. To a neighbor or a teacher, this looks like the definition of good parenting, success, order. But if you could look inside that child's mind, you wouldn't see peace. You would see a constant, high-wire act of anxiety. You'd see a personality being slowly erased, replaced by a script written by someone else. There are no bruises on this child. There are no scars you can touch. But there is violence happening here. It's just silent. Today we are talking about the violence that hides in plain sight. The violence of control, masquerading as protection. We're looking at how cultural expectations, religious pressure, and the ghosts of our parents' pasts can crush a child's spirit long before they ever leave home. I'm Chloe, and this is a deep dive into the invisible chains we place on the people we love the most.
It's heavy, isn't it? When we hear the word violence, our brains immediately go to the physical. We think of aggression, hitting, yelling. But the research and honestly the lived experience of so many people tells us that psychological control is a form of violence that is just as damaging, if not more so, because it's so often validated by society. It's what psychologists call intrusive parenting, but I prefer the term you used, silent violence.
And that's the tricky part, right? Because to the outside world, these parents often look like the good ones. They're involved. They care so much. So where does that line get crossed? When does caring become this destructive force?
The line is autonomy. That is the fundamental breakpoint. There is a massive distinction in child development literature between behavioral control and psychological control. Behavioral control is healthy. It's saying you can't play in traffic or you need to be home by 10 p.m. That provides structure. But psychological control? That's an attack on the self. That's when a parent tries to manipulate the child's thoughts, feelings, and attachment to get compliance. It's not, do this because it's safe. It's, if you don't do this, you are betraying me. If you don't do this, you're hurting this family.
It becomes about the parent's emotional state, not the child's safety.
Exactly. It's what we call enmeshment. The boundaries dissolve. The child isn't allowed to have a private inner world. I was reading a study recently from the University of Virginia that followed teens into adulthood, and it found that those who grew up with this kind of psychological control, where love was conditional on obedience, actually had stunted social development in their 30s. They literally struggled to function as independent adults because their entire operating system was built around anticipating someone else's reaction, not understanding their own desire.